Give me the Baby Yoda Starbucks Frappuccino immediately.
I know there's some nerd that's going to yell at me in the comments for calling him Baby Yoda. It's a better name than Grogu. Grogu's a bad name.
It's bad. It's a bad name. He's Baby Yoda forever.
Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Hero Huddle. This is a show where I Tomahawk.
And I Sue.
And I Tristan.
We take a look at some nerd stuff and then we make jokes about it. And in this particular episode, we say things that are going to make the internet yell at us. Isn't that right, Tristan?
That's very right. So buckle up.
So the premise of this show overall, the goal is that we're going to do a sort of news of the week thing. But before we get into any of the news stuff, we want you guys to have a sort of general idea of what our views as nerds are like and who we are as people. So in our first episode, we rated the Marvel Cinematic Universe sort of top to bottom. Oh, sorry, bottom to top. And now we're going to do the same thing with the Star Wars universe.
There's no way this can go poorly.
This is not going to be great. If you are a diehard Star Wars fan, I can't wait to hear your reaction. Please comment below about how we're wrong. I'm excited to hear it. The way that we did it is we all rated these individually. I averaged them out. And so now I have the average score of our show. And we're going to go from the lowest average score to the highest average score. Anybody have anything they want to say before we jump in? How about we talk about our sort of relationship with Star Wars? Tristan, what is your relationship like with Star Wars?
I was pretty late to the game. Tomahawk, if I'm correct, I think you and I have a similar relationship to Star Wars.
Okay.
So I was in high school, I think, when Force Awakens came out, and I wanted to see it in theaters. So I was like, all right, I got a lot of homework to do. So I binged the first 6 and like prep for Force Awakens. And I watched it in, Stu, you got to help me out. I don't know what the name of the order is.
Chronological?
I started with episode 1.
You went 1 through 6 in that order. Okay.
That's not the way to do it.
Yeah,
that is a bold way to do it.
And I was like, all right, well, let me do it because it'll make more sense. And
okay,
it was rough. Like starting with the prequels left a really bad taste in my mouth. I was like, are they all like this? When I got to episode 4, I was like, okay, now I get it. Oh,
why does everybody have 70s haircuts?
Yeah. We're going back in time. This is crazy.
Retro.
Yeah, it was wild. But, I really like Force Awakens, so it paid off.
Stu, what is your relationship like with Star Wars?
Well, when I was a young warthog, my grandfather had like the VHSs for like the original trilogy. And so like every time I go to visit my grandparents, but we'd at least pick one of them to watch. Or if I was like there for the summer, we'd watch all of them. And then when episode 1 came out, I was super excited for that. Going off of the timeline that I'm thinking of, I was probably watching the original trilogy around the same time as like episode 1 coming out. So I was like super excited for that. And I'll be honest, 5-6-year-old Stu loved episode 1. I thought Jar Jar Binks was hilarious, and I can't wait for more of him in the future. But also, it had like a lot of like other redeeming qualities to it. And then, so on and so forth. We're going through the years, and then by the time the sequel trilogy came out, so your 7, 8, and 9 came out, I had learned to be a lot more critical of movies, and I realized that like a lot of like the Star Wars content really hinges on how good the original trilogy was, and like how much like staying power that had as far as like a fan base. I don't like the sequel trilogy at all, and we'll soon get into my reasons why once we get into the rankings.
My relationship with Star Wars is I had never saw any of them in theaters up to this point. The prequels were coming out. I hadn't seen any Star Wars, and I rented a copy of Attack of the Clones from a family video, and I was not able to watch the whole thing in one sitting. I was at school at the time, so every day before I went to school that week, I'd watch about 10 minutes of this horrible movie. And it was just noise and gibberish. I didn't understand anything that was happening. And I was just like, you know what? maybe I'll come back to Star Wars at some point, but I didn't grasp any of that. Fast forward to I was in high school at the time, and Star Wars was doing the 3D re-release of Phantom Menace. My buddy was like, "Oh, you haven't seen any Star Wars. This is episode 1. It's a great place to jump in." And he took me to watch this horrible movie.
That's a bad friend.
At the end of it, I was just like, people like this? This is the thing that people enjoy? He's like, you didn't like it? I was like, no, I hated that.
I bet. Was this
We're not friends anymore.
Was this like the first or second wave of 3D? Because I don't remember it being released in 3D. Was this like the second wave where they had like the glasses that were just like kind of tinted weird?
Yes. Tinted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like
those. I hate them
me
so
too.
much.
This is dark.
Yeah.
I feel like they always need to like adjust the brightness of the movie to compensate for the 3D tint. But yeah, up to that point, that was my only exposure to Star Wars. We'll get to it, but like I used to see the old like Clone Wars like little like commercial bumpers. Thought those were cool.
They are.
And then similar to Tristan here, Force Awakens was coming out. I was like, you know what? I want to be part of the pop culture conversation right now. I'm gonna watch all these movies, and I'm gonna really try and dive into this and see if I enjoy it. And here we are.
Here we are.
Now, that is all of our perspectives. Are we ready? Are we ready to jump into this horrible list?
As we'll ever be.
Are we starting with
the worst?
Like bottom to the top?
We are starting bottom to the top.
Last time.
Same as
I'm
last
excited.
time.
Personally, I can't wait.
Did you look at the numbers of what everyone was ranking?
I did not see Tristan's. I was too busy pooping. So I did not read Tristan's rankings. I read yours. I got upset. I'm like, I can't keep going. I was already in an argument with someone over Haley Seinfeld or whatever her name is in Sinners. So I was in the middle of that.
All right. Tristan, take a guess what our lowest rated movie is.
Phantom Menace.
Stu, take a guess what our lowest rated movie is.
Rise of Skywalker.
It's Phantom Menace.
Is it really?
Phantom Menace is our show's least favorite Star Wars movie. And good. I have a lot of beef with this movie.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Okay. This movie's so bad that I thought it made me think that Star Wars as a franchise was bad.
I mean, I understand that, but like, would you have the same thought if you had just watched like Rise of Skywalker for no reason? Like, just like that be your first one? You'd have the same thought. You'd be like, dang, this series sucks. You know?
Well, this means a lot coming from me. So, you know, I'm a big movie. We're all big movie guys.
I sure hope so.
But for me to mentally ask myself, when will this be over? That means a lot.
I'd agree.
I don't really think that a lot. So I was like watching this. And how long? Can someone look up? Because what is it? Like 2 hours? Something like that?
It feels like it goes for 3 years. I don't know.
2 hour and 11-minute movie.
Too long.
Do we want to reveal our individual ratings for this movie?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. I gave this movie a 50. Tristan gave it a 40. And Stu gave it a 50.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's
pretty rough.
It's middling. I mean, I think that there is a lot of wrong with this movie. I really do. There's a lot wrong. But there's also like a lot of cool things, especially for the time, because again, I was in the culture while, you know, it was hot and fresh. Pulling out a 2-bladed lightsaber is the coolest thing ever to see when you don't know something that could exist. The pod racing was so cool to the point where like they haven't really been able to recreate that. You know, we can get into the Book of Boba Fett later, but like they haven't recreated that feeling of how like intense that part was and how good it looked for like that era's CGI. I just thought it had like a lot of cool things that kept it from being the worst one for me.
Tristan, what do you think?
Darth Maul and the pod racing scene are probably the best things about this movie. I would say that everything else is so boring. It's almost mind-numbing.
You don't like trade agreements and taxation?
Oh my gosh. I was like, bro, obviously they tried to make this movie, you know, enjoyable for kids. So how many kids are watching this? Like, what is happening right now? Bring Jar Jar back. I need a laugh. So I need something.
That was me.
Just gonna point out some things in this movie that I really don't like. The dialogue, the plot, the fact that there's not a protagonist, the acting, just kind of broadly speaking, all of the acting is bad.
Even Liam Neeson?
Not one person delivers one line in an organic way that feels like they're actually speaking to a human being. Actually,
I feel like Liam Neeson's the only one who does that sometimes in that movie. I think everyone else is just a robot.
You know what? I take it back. I got to argue a little bit with both of you guys now.
Okay.
I don't think the pod racing is very interesting. I think it's kind of boring.
That's crazy.
I will say, I think there are two cool things, two very good things in this movie. Actually, three good things.
Okay.
Darth Maul.
Okay.
The score. It's wonderful.
John Williams, he's going to slap every time.
It might be the best score in Star Wars. Might be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like Duel of the Fates is crazy. Love that.
Duel of the Fates is insane.
But lastly, the most important thing, it's got Watto.
We need to pool money for that statue for you, I think.
Yeah.
We need to make it so that like your background unblurs just Watto back there.
On Facebook Marketplace today, we found a Watto statue that was being sold for, what was it, like $3,000?
You could get either him or I guess a life-size Tobey Maguire Spider-Man statue for $3,500 each.
Oh, was it each? Hold on.
I think it was separate. It might have been for both, but I could have sworn it was separate.
It is separate. I think they're different prices.
Okay.
I have it saved because when I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna look at this later.
We also
and then you sent it to the group chat
because we saw that separately, completely like separate from each other. We saw that, and I'm like, that's funny.
So life-size Watto, who's like on a pole so that it looks like he's flying. He's only $1,800. He's only $1,800.
He looks so sad. Like his head is hanging, and his eyes are mostly closed. He looks like he has depression. It's like he just lost one of his slaves in a pod racing bet. Like he looks really sad.
I freaking love Watto. Oh, that guy. Make him the main character of this movie.
What's really funny is they keep retconning whether or not like Darth Vader kills him or not in the comics. Like early on, they're like, oh yeah, Vader went back to Tatooine and killed Watto. A couple months ago, they completely retconned that where Watto's still alive somewhere. And it's so funny.
That is funny. They should have had him pop up in Rise of Skywalker. That's a sin of a different movie, but
oh my God.
Man. Again, I think this movie is boring. It's boring and it's poorly acted. And I think on a basic story structure standpoint, it is like fundamentally broken. This is one of the prequels, and the prequels have been talked to death and how broken they are. But I'm going to reiterate some points that I always feel like I have to bring up. Like I mentioned before that the movie doesn't really have like a protagonist. Like the closest thing it has to a protagonist is Qui-Gon. But like he doesn't have like an arc, and the fact that he is killed off in this movie makes the overall story structure even weaker. If Obi-Wan was doing all the stuff to like get Kid Anakin like off the planet, he's doing all the stuff that Qui-Gon's doing, and Qui-Gon's just like, all right, I mean, I don't really want to do this, but I guess I'll help out since you know you're about to be your own Jedi or whatever. At least there'd be something there. But at the end of the movie, it's really just Obi-Wan stuck with this kid that he doesn't like or care about. None of these characters like each other. It's crazy. Well, I guess Padme.
Yeah, those two like each other a lot.
For some reason. Yuck.
Yeah.
All right. Sins of a different movie. In this movie, I guess it's fine.
You're right. They have been talked to death. I'm still amazed that this is the lowest one.
Really?
It saddens me.
I'm sorry. It's a piece of garbage.
Oh, I don't disagree.
So you're really just disagreeing on like how garbage it's not so much that this isn't garbage, it's that other ones are more garbage in your mind.
There is at least one movie specifically that is worse than this. I think there are probably two that are worse than this movie, which is actually no. I would say that there are three movies that are worse than this movie in the Star Wars series. Yes.
You can just go ahead and name them out right now if you want. We already know the one.
I think Rise of Skywalker is probably the worst Star Wars movie. I think The Last Jedi is worse than The Phantom Menace. And I think Attack of the Clones is also worse than The Phantom Menace. because that is the one where I actively fall asleep in from the prequels. I actively is so boring.
Well,
So
I got some good news
those are
for
my
you.
3. Okay, I'm ready.
So our next 3 movies in order are Rise of Skywalker, Attack of the Clones, Last Jedi.
I almost had it. Throw on the bottom. I can be happy with that. I think.
Yeah.
I'll make concessions there.
But let's just focus in right now on Rise of Skywalker. This movie is also garbage, but it's garbage in a different way. Again, one of the biggest issues that I have with all the prequels is that the acting is so like stilted and unnatural, and like no one's really even like trying with their performance. Say what you will about the sequel trilogy, the actors are doing a better job than the people in the prequels. Whether or not you think the story is better or worse, the acting is way better in the sequels, and I can kind of settle into what's happening in an easier fashion. That's why I definitely would rank this one over Phantom Menace. That's just me though. But wow, this movie it's so bad and in a franchise only kind of way. I can't even really approach this as like a single standalone movie because the sequel trilogy is broken and it feels like bad improv.
Is broken in a different way from the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Because the prequel trilogy is broken because George Lucas kind of sucks. He kind of I'm gonna say here first live, George Lucas kind of sucks. I mean, you know those like things that they put babies in to like where you don't have to hold your kid, like a little backpack, but on the front. It was like harness. That. Yeah, using a harness for the original trilogy.
What I love about the original trilogy is like if George Lucas had his way, the original trilogy would feel exactly like the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And sorry, the original trilogy is only as good as it is because everyone was fighting George Lucas tooth and nail every step along the way.
Every step of the way. They were like, no, we can't name the villain Darth Insanius. What is wrong with you?
George, can you make it just a little bit normal?
Oh my God. No, so that's why like the original trilogy, not original, the sequel trilogy is like prequel trilogy, good Lord, is so broken is because they cut him loose. They took him out of the harness. They go, all right, you're 5 now. Go ahead and pick out what you want out of the toy store. And boy did he. Sequel trilogy is broken because they had so many different hands in the cookie jar and no one could agree on how they wanted the story to go that like entire plot lines that were like seeded in the first one were completely like demolished in the second one. And then they tried to replant them in the third one in Rise of Skywalker, this one. So like it just didn't work.
It's really bad.
Bad.
How did we feel about Palpatine coming back?
It's garbage. Every decision made in this movie is bad. It's a bad choice.
It's nonsense.
Not only did they bring him back for no good reason, they couldn't even make up a reason of why he's back. Somehow, Palpatine has returned is the exact phrase that was uttered in the movie.
Tristan, do you know how that was like announced? How that was revealed?
When was it announced?
So this was revealed in Fortnite.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say like a Taco Bell ad, but that's pretty close.
Basically.
Yeah.
So like people are playing Fortnite and they hear like the Emperor's voice being like, "Bleh, I'm back.
Order 66.
I'm not against Palpatine coming back as a story point. That could be interesting. But the fact that it happens off screen, like if at the end of Last Jedi, like you hear his voice and like it's just his voice like over a radio and you're like, what the heck, is Palpatine back? And you're kind of left in a state of suspense for the next movie. That could have been interesting. But the fact that it's just like, I don't freaking know.
I would have taken like an end credit scene where it's just Palpatine looking over Snoke's cut in half body and be like, ah, shit. And that's it. Like that would have been so much better.
Ah, Sheev.
Because didn't Palpatine reveal that it was him the whole time? Like he was orchestrating all that stuff.
Yeah, like he kind of revealed that like he got cloned or something like that. And they kind of go into it in The Mandalorian because it's a plot point in the first season where they're going through like cloning with midi-chlorian like succession. Because that was like the whole thing with the clones originally, was that you couldn't get midi-chlorians in the clones. They must have figured that out. But the episode of The Mandalorian didn't come out for like another like 2 years after Rise of Skywalker. So you're kind of just like, you can't clone someone and have them be able to use the Force. That's just not a thing that happens.
Also, just kind of going, I don't know, cloning. Like, that's not compelling storytelling.
Yeah.
Again, the thing that pisses me off so much about these movies, I said it before, it's like bad improv. If you don't know how improv works, the basic rule of improv is you agree with your scene partner. They they posit something. They do something that's like, Stu, you're making a pie and that looks delicious.
Thank you.
And Stu agrees with this then and then adds to it.
Thank you. I made it this morning. Something basic like that.
Something basic.
Yeah.
And then I agree with what he said and then I add to it. And then we just do this back and forth and the world gets bigger and as more details come to light. Bad improv is me going, Stu, you're making a pie and that looks delicious. And you going, I'm not making anything. I'm watching TV.
I shot your mother this morning.
And like just shutting it down.
Yeah.
Now in this circumstance, it is my duty as an improviser to go then with what Stu has said and been like, oh, sorry, maybe I just really want pie. I've been thinking about pie all day. And then Stu going, I died 6 years ago. I'm not here right now.
Please leave a message after the beep. Beep.
And like just shutting me down. That's what these movies feel like. In Force Awakens, the movie sets it up that Rey's backstory, her parents are a big secret. The movie says that it's a big secret. So now the audience is like, ooh, can't wait to figure out who her parents are. The second movie goes, they're nobody, and you're an idiot for thinking that. They would be interesting. What? You're dumb. You're dumb for thinking they'd be interesting. And then the next movie's like, actually, sorry, they actually are interesting. And it's like, it's too little too late. I've lost interest.
It's actually your father's the most interesting man in the galaxy right now. That's the thing, is that like they could have ran with the your parents aren't anything. They could have ran with that. They could have said, hey, you don't have to be a Skywalker to be a hero in Star Wars. No, actually you do. Or at least very close to one. Like, sorry, to make you think you could be special otherwise. It's so bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
Do you think the kiss was forced?
Yes, but it's Star Wars, so using the Force is fine.
Actually,
well,
I don't
no
think
means no,
Jesus.
Tomahawk.
Jesus.
She was clearly into it.
Listen, I will say this though. I mean, she kind of grew up on a desert planet with like no one hot around her, and then she all of a sudden she's like her like rival is Adam Driver. We're lucky that we got out with just them kissing, I think.
I mean, they clearly had like chemistry. Like throughout the movies, like you kind of suspect that they have the hots for each other. But truthfully, my honest opinion, I'm going to tell you what my reaction was in the theater. When they kissed, I flipped off the screen.
That's appropriate.
Why? Please go into depth.
Oh, I mean, it's self-explanatory.
I feel like,
yeah.
It's more so the movie surrounding that moment. Again, I'm not against that moment, like as an idea, as a concept for a script.
Yeah.
But man, I hate that movie.
It's not good.
There's this one shot in that movie where like it's the camera panning along like a mountain range and it's kind of like zooming in as it's panning. And it looks like it's shot on like an iPhone where like, you know how like when you have to like zoom in on a camera, you have to like take your fingers, press it to the screen, like spread them apart to like zoom in. It's like they keep doing that and then they get to the like edge of the screen so they can't like zoom in more. So they have to like start over. Yeah. It's like it like stutters like that. Also, I saw this movie once and I went, I'm good. Never again. I'm good.
I've seen it twice. I had to introduce my wife to Star Wars. She had not seen Star Wars, so
Good
I
man.
had to sit through those. I had to sit through all the bad ones again that I promised myself I'd never watch just for
Mm.
her. Do we think, and this is going to be like a question for kind of like the sequel trilogy in general, but I might as well ask it now. Do you think that any kind of extra content could save it? Kind of like how the Clone Wars TV show really did a lot of heavy lifting for episode 3.
No.
Okay. I agree.
Um,
I agree. There's just too many broken pathways, burned bridges that like
mhm.
they can't write new fixes for. They
Mhm.
can't fix what they've broken, I think.
Also, it's been rewritten and it's so like transparent that like they're ripping off Endgame in a weird
Mhm.
way. The way that Palpatine says, I am all the Sith, and Rey says, I am all the Jedi. It's so
That
transparently
part was-
ripping off I am Iron Man, right?
It was, but well, so
They came out the same year.
yeah, so it was kind of hard to say for certain.
Avengers came out that April or May, and then that came out in December. So they would have had time to shoot it.
I don't think they would have, because they would have been that last year would have been like in post production, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but we're talking about like a scene.
Maybe.
And for the
I
first
don't-
Avengers movie, the post-credit scene where they're eating shawarma, that
Yeah.
was shot the day before,
Yeah.
like the day before the movie premiered.
I mean, I guess. What I don't like about that scene mostly is that like something that they add in that you could only know if you watch with closed captions is the fact that like all the voices you hear, it's like Urge Rayon is like people from the series.
Mhm.
But you don't know who they are off their voice because they don't sound like they don't sound distinct enough. So like I couldn't tell who was who until I watched with the closed captioning, and then it would say the person's name and what they would say. So like you wouldn't know that like Ahsoka was talking to her without the closed captioning. And I'm like, kind of like a dumb thing to put in without any kind of like visual representation of who's talking to you right now.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all. But I also thought the whole thing was done because why did Palpatine die the same way he like died the first two times? Well, not first two times, but like in episode 3, he got his lightning reflected back at him. In episode 6, he was electrocuting himself in Darth Vader. He wouldn't turn his lightning off when he got thrown down the shaft. Like, what's up with this dude and not turning off his lightning? It killed him twice.
Silly man.
It's a bad movie. I do want to say, we're not going to be able to get out all of our thoughts on all of these movies because we're already 30 minutes in and we are on our second entry on this list.
I'm very passionate. I'm sorry.
In the future, I anticipate that we will do a like full episode review for all of these. Maybe even do some like commentaries for like Patreon or something.
It is May, you know. We can. Oh, it is almost May.
It's not May right now.
It's almost May.
Yeah, if that's something you would like to see, let us know. I'm sure we'd be happy to oblige.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Mhm.
So next up is Attack of the Clones with 51.6.
Yeah.
It's bad
This
and boring
bad
and
movie,
it's ugly.
bad boring movie. It has one cool scene. Is when like all the Jedi are fighting all the droids, and that's like comparative to the rest of the movie. Is like that's the one cool scene. Actually, no. Yoda fighting was cool. Yoda fighting was cool because you'd never seen that before either. So we gave it a little bit more props there.
He's doing
Other
too
than
many
that-
flips. I don't like how many flips he's doing.
He did a lot of flips.
He's a younger Yoda.
Yeah, he's a more spry Yoda of 20 years younger or something like that. Like it's kind of not a whole lot of time.
Do you guys prefer CGI or practical puppet Yoda?
Puppet every day. Give me puppet Yoda every day.
Depends on the shot, but most of the time puppet Yoda. It depends on the puppet, honestly. Like in the original trilogy, like that's what Yoda looks like. There's not another option. I like that.
I would like to say this, and you're probably going to disagree, but I think I would prefer like a really ugly practical puppet over any CGI. I really do.
I think most of the time, what you need is both, like taking a puppet and using some like CGI to like, enhance or animate it.
Right.
Mhm.
But also, I don't know what it is with Yoda, every time they have to get a different puppet for him, he looks like a completely different character. And it's insane. Like the puppet that they were planning to do for like Phantom Menace it's insane. The puppet Yoda that they have in Rise of Skywalker, what's happening?
The puppet in the Phantom Menace that they were going to use, it was so uncanny valley because it was also part animatronic. When they would say cut, they cut power to the puppet so it would just slump over. So Yoda would just die.
Oh my god!
And it would freak out the child actor who did Anakin. He would get freaked out in his scene with Yoda because all of a sudden you're cut. You go,
jeez, that's crazy. They need.
That's
to
how
use...
we're going to end this episode.
Yeah, we're just going to cut. They need to use the same puppeteer that they're using for Grogu. He looks pretty solid.
We're not on this movie yet, but they did do a little bit of a mix for The Last Jedi for Yoda. And
yeah,
they did a little bit of a mix.
For the flashback stuff?
No, for the sacred text.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's Force Ghost Yoda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to say about Attack of the Clones?
I don't.
Phase 1 clone armor is my favorite, where they have like the sleek helmet with like the little antenna going on. I like that one. That one looks really cool. I wish they had kept that.
I like Anakin getting his arm cut off. I like that this movie gives incels hope that they can land a girl like Natalie Portman.
God.
It's pretty funny.
Agreed. It is very funny.
I like Count Dooku's lightsaber. Pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Cool, very cool design.
Count Dooku as a character, like him. That's cool.
Yeah, great guy. Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the fault of Phantom Menace, but he should have had Darth Maul in all these movies. He should have been the overarching villain. Kind of a waste.
Yeah, or at least like, well, anyway, never mind. Not timeline stuff, but he's in a lot of the Clone Wars stuff, which is great. And
doesn't he come back as like a spider
for like an episode? Yeah. We'll talk about it then if we get to the show today.
Next up is Last Jedi.
Bad movie.
Dun dun dun.
This is one that I find pretty interesting because the only reason it is ranked this low is because of Stu.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd y'all rank it?
We both gave it an 87.
That's insanely high for this bad movie.
How many
times have y'all watched this movie?
A few.
Really?
I said 2 or 3.
A few times in theaters. I've seen it a couple times at home.
I would have given it an 87 off my first watch. I watched it for the second time. I was like, holy shit, this sucks.
This sucks.
I might have said that. Anyway, this sucks. What was I on? It's kind of boring. Like nothing really happens in the whole thing.
I have a buddy who is a really big OG Star Wars fan. And I asked him about his problems. He also hates it. He said one of his biggest issues was that they ruined Luke Skywalker. I'm asking if like you guys agree.
The Luke Skywalker that we see at like Return of the Jedi is not the same Luke Skywalker that we're seeing in the sequel trilogy. I think that the Luke Skywalker that we get from like, well, not even the Return of the Jedi, just from like the original trilogy altogether, I really don't see him like having the urge to murder a child because he thinks he might be bad one day because he had a nightmare. I'm like, that just doesn't like fall in line with like the character that they've built.
It's not what happens in that movie.
That is what happens in that movie.
No.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, it is. That's what he had. He's like, oh no, this kid might be evil. And like, he shows up in his bedroom staring at him. And I'm like, yeah, that's not something Luke should be doing. And yeah, like Kylo overreacted a little bit, but also he saw like the most powerful Jedi in the world staring at him while he's in his bed with a lightsaber. And I was like, I can see kind of why he would get freaked out.
I definitely see why he would get freaked out, but
yeah,
like I didn't read it as Luke was actively trying to kill him. It was just like he got startled. Essentially, it was just like, Jesus.
And then walked all the way to his bedroom and stood over him with the.
He gets startled because of like, isn't he having like a dream or something? And like,
yeah, he's having
like dark energy in the dream.
So essentially he has like a vision that like there's like a dark future surrounding Kylo, and like his justification for it was that like I can't have another Vader. even though like his whole thing with Vader in the original trilogy was I can change him. Like he's not all the way evil. I can fix him. So like him ever having like the even the impulse to be like I've got to nip this at the bud by like possibly murdering Kylo in his sleep is such a weird thing for me. And again, he's like it like washed over me. Like I immediately was like, no, I can't do this. But like I can't see that ever happening. And they just like had that happen.
Force Awakens ends with her finding Luke, right?
Yes.
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 And Last Jedi picks up with him taking the lightsaber and throwing it off a cliff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That bothered me. I was like, all right, what are we doing? J.J. Abrams, did he direct Last Jedi? Is that right?
No, he directed Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, this was Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay. So it definitely
Knives Out fame.
It just kind of feels like maybe that's what it is. It feels like it's being led by someone different.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly why it feels weird. My headcanon after The Force Awakens was that like the whole reason why Luke left a trail the way he did was so that like if shit gets so bad that they need him, they can find him. Like he's not gone forever. Like R2 has the rest of the map in case they need him. And then obviously they needed him. And so when they found him, he goes, fuck you. And just like throws the thing away. I feel like that's like a direct, like Rian Johnson not wanting to continue Abrams' like vision for the story.
Yeah.
And wanting to do his own thing.
Yeah. He's also really grumpy.
I will say this though. I did like his death in the movie. Him looking out towards the water and seeing his twin son sunset from Tatooine. I thought that was beautiful, and I think I might have shed a tear watching that the first time. I'll be honest. I got pretty choked up seeing that.
I really like the shot where right before the Kylo and Luke like showdown, where they're just kind of like posed at opposite ends of the frame. I was like, oh, that's Star Wars.
Good shot. Yeah.
That's what Star Wars is in my brain. I like Luke tossing the lightsaber off the cliff. It feels like the most interesting thing that could have happened. Stu talked for a while about not liking that this is Luke. This is my favorite Luke. We're going to get to the original trilogy Luke Skywalker later in this list. I love grumpy old man Luke Skywalker. I love that.
Lord have mercy.
It's one of my favorite character archetypes. He's not handled the best. I'm not going to try and deny that, but I like him having moved past where he was at the end of Return of the Jedi. And I think if I were to be, a writer for this movie, he would have chosen to have left the Jedi because he kind of disagrees with the philosophy overall of like the dichotomy of like Sith and Jedi. Try and set up something more along the lines of like a gray Jedi, like kind of trying to start like a new philosophy, like a new type of temple.
I will agree with you. I do like grumpy Luke. I think like that, like him being like kind of grumpy old man drinking the weird creature milk and stuff like that. I like that part.
Comfortable.
I just think that like the inconsistencies,
so weird.
The inconsistencies between the what was probably the intended plot versus what came out of The Last Jedi really just don't flow into like his like what I expected out of him, I guess. And hey, I'm not making Star Wars movie. I don't get to, like thrust my expectations onto it. It's whatever they decide to make, but at the same time, at least have some consistency between like the sequential movies in the series, like between Force Awakens and Last Jedi. At least have some like consistency there.
You see, I disagree that there's not consistency there. If anything, I think Rian Johnson was kind of backed into a corner of what he could do with Luke. Like Luke isn't being held in like cryo at the end of Force Awakens. He's just kind of off sitting by himself on this island. Like if he wanted to be in a fight, if he wanted to like, be trying to save the universe again, there was nothing stopping him at the end of that movie from just going off and doing it. Like he's painted as being in a corner of self-isolation at the end of Force Awakens.
Well, but kinda, because like if he wanted the isolation like he does in Return, the Last Jedi, where even after telling him about Han dying and how the Empire is gonna like take over the galaxy again, he's still like it ain't my problem and just like kind of sits on his ass and like refuses to train Rey for most of the movie.
Mm.
Why bother leaving clues to how to find you at that point if you're that checked out?
I didn't read it as him leaving clues, but we have so
I
much
mean,
more to get through.
yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
It's fine. No. This is a podcast. We're supposed to have these moments. But we are at number 4 and we got more to get through.
I'm less like involved with like the ones that are like kind of middling.
Yeah, the ones that are going to be in the middle are just going to be
Yeah.
like, how much are we going to have to say about Book of Boba Fett?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So next up we have Kenobi, the Disney Plus original series.
It was so close. It was so close to being really good, I think. Like if for some reason Ewan McGregor, he could not bring back his voice for Kenobi. Like, granted, it's been like 20 years, so be it. Like that's tough. But at the same time, I'm like, dang, you sound nothing like you did in the prequel trilogy.
Mm.
It felt like Ewan McGregor was phoning it in
Mm.
the whole time.
My biggest gripe is that he didn't have gray hair. And he's supposed to look like Alec Guinness in 7 years.
Yeah, because like Anakin's like not Anakin, Luke is like a child.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's not long before A New Hope, and he does not
Yeah.
look like Alec Guinness
At all.
Not
Yeah,
at all.
at all.
I'm like, Ewan, you got to look older than this.
Yeah,
He need a
Like-
haircut.
Like he can have the long hair. Like it's feasible for a guy to get a haircut within the span of 7 years.
Mhm.
But like to go from looking like Ewan McGregor to looking like Alec Guinness in 7 years, that's bananas.
My other gripe was how many chase scenes of Leia are there going to be? How many times are grown bounty hunters going to chase this child around and not be able to catch her is insane.
It really
I don't
feels like it
understand.
should have been set with Benny Hill music.
Really should have. It should have. It was Tom and Jerry levels of shenanigans.
It felt like a Disney Channel show.
Hated that.
Yeah, that was bad.
Mm.
But
Tristan,
it feels
did you
like it
watch
could be
Kenobi?
edited into a pretty good movie, though.
Tristan, did you
Yeah.
watch Kenobi?
I did. It was cool to see him talk to, Darth Vader. They got to
Mhm.
exchange some words, especially seeing like, part of his face and getting to hear like Anakin's voice mixed with like the
Mhm.
Vader voice was really cool.
Mhm.
That was
And
fun.
the lighting
Yeah.
was really cool, like the red and blue. So yeah, I mean it's not all bad, but like Stu said, it could have been good.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that this is another one where Stu wildly affected the vote. Tristan and I both gave Kenobi an 82.
That's dang. That feels so high. I forget
It's a
that
B
for
minus.
y'all. Well, that's the thing is that's not how I do my
Yeah.
things. Yeah. Like an 82 is like a really good movie for me.
No.
A 50 is okay.
For
Yeah,
me,
'cause-
it's like if it's in the 90s, it's great. If it's
Mhm.
in the 80s, it's good. If
Mhm.
it's in the 70s, it's whatever. If
Okay.
it's below that, it's varying degrees of bad.
Let's get like an actual scale for if we do DC, just so that we're on the same page so this doesn't
Nah,
happen.
I love this. This is
Okay,
great.
never mind. We can do it. I'll just
'Cause-
keep giving things I hate 4s and we'll just go from there.
It is
'cause-
crazy to me that you're like, I'll give. What did you give a 4?
I think I gave it to Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. You did.
Stu is doing it on a scale of like, 1 is the lowest, 100 is the greatest. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 for him is mid,
Mid.
like
Mhm.
perfectly
Exactly.
mid. But mid
Exactly.
for me and Tomahawk is like a 70.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference. The last thing I want to say about Kenobi is that the ending didn't make a lot of sense because once again, he didn't kill Vader when he had the chance. And Vader didn't do anything about Kenobi being alive on Tatooine after he made it out of there alive. He's like, well, I'm going to forget about that planet for a while. And just like, didn't do anything about it.
I think the finale, the big fight between him and Vader, is too big in scale. It really makes the fight that they have on the Death Star in A New Hope feel really wimpy.
Yeah.
Like he goes from like lifting all the rocks in the area and like
Uh-huh.
burying him under a pile of rubble to like gently poking at him with a stick. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's rough. Well, that's why it's rough to watch him in like that order
Yeah,
because that lack of choreography is rough to watch.
it is.
But yeah,
Lack
anyway.
of forethought.
Yeah,
Okay,
it is what it
so
is.
after Kenobi, we have Revenge of the Sith sitting at 71.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people on the internet think that this is a great movie. I think it is ugly. I also think that when people think about how much they love this movie, they are thinking exclusively of the lava fight.
Correct.
Lava fight is cool. The
Mhm.
rest of the movie is bad, except for
Yes.
my favorite moment in all of Star Wars is in this movie. It is when Yoda enters the room and uses the Force to just slam two guys into a wall.
That
I love
part
that.
so my uncle got a bootleg copy of this movie and we would rewind and watch that one scene over and like just over and over. This was like pre-YouTube. So you
Yeah.
couldn't like go online to watch the scene. So we had the bootleg copy and just Yoda throwing them into the wall over and over and over again. It was so funny.
First time I watched this movie, which granted, keep in mind, I was in high school, did the same thing, just over and over. Ah, love that.
I think the movie is so ugly. I agree. The backdrops, the fact that they're all on green stages the entire
Mhm.
time
Mm.
is just like the worst. Because even like Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones weren't that bad.
Mm.
Like
Like
they're bad,
something, they're bad,
but not that
but they're
bad.
not that bad. Something
Yeah.
happened during the production of this movie to make it that bad. I don't know what it was.
It makes Spy Kids look real grim and gritty.
Oh yeah.
When other people are thinking of the lava planet, the first thing that I think of when I think of this movie is Obi-Wan Kenobi riding a big lizard fighting a guy on a big wheel. It is
Oh.
it is so dumb. I understand that you might think it's cool, dear listener, and that's fine. I respect your opinion. But golly gee, that looks so silly. I can't take it seriously. I love it, but I think it's bad.
What you got, Tristan?
I was trying to figure out, do you think a lot of people that love this movie and think it's great, do you think they are being blinded by nostalgia?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's poorly written script wise.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
to an extent plot wise. Like a lot of like the plot doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Nope.
Especially with like how they choose to handle certain situations. Like for example, for as much of a threat Grievous was supposed to be, that was such a bad fight between him and Obi-Wan. Like the actual lightsaber fight between them lasted all of maybe 28 seconds. And then it was just like a weird chase being intercut with another plot point, like
Mm.
another like plot line in the movie. And then he kind of goes out like a chump, you know?
Hmm.
Lore wise, he's supposed to be like the greatest strategist of the Clone Wars
Right.
and like a threat like all of his lightsabers were from Jedi he's killed. That should have been the coolest fight of the movie, but it wasn't because it wasn't good. It was really bad.
Do we think that Anakin like progressed as a character by at this point, like by the third one?
By the third one or during the third one?
I would say by the third one.
Yes,
Yeah.
because he changed actors. He went from being a little boy to being an adult man.
He got rid of his rat tail.
Yeah, he doesn't
Mhm.
he doesn't have the rat tail anymore. A lot of it makes sense with the context of the show, which I know y'all haven't seen. But also, back then you would not have seen that. It at least feels like in the first like between like the last 10 minutes of Attack of the Clones and the first 10 minutes of this one, you see an obvious jump in power from him where him and Obi-Wan both got beat by Dooku, and then Anakin solo killed Dooku on his own after Obi-Wan
Mm.
got knocked out. Like he fought Dooku, won on his own. That is like a very easy way to show he is much more powerful than he was in the last movie.
Right.
And then as far as like his like temperament and like his thought process on things go, I mean, the writing isn't great, but he does come out and say like the issues he has with the order and things like that going in. But then like it just takes like a really deep dive at the end where he's like all of a sudden the Jedi are fully evil and there's no redeeming them. From where like at the beginning he was man, they make some decisions that really piss me off sometimes.
Mhm.
It's a sudden jump
The progression doesn't make a lot of sense.
Mm-mm.
I think it is a bit abrupt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, most iconic no of all time.
Sure.
It was, yeah.
Except for this one. No.
Kal-El, no.
Yeah, that one's actually better.
Oh, I hate her. Anyway, we'll get to that next
Yeah.
week.
Speaking of women, it's Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
mean
mean-
Mando 0.5?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I like the Mandalorian stuff in this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the Boba Fett stuff in this.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I actually wrote down my 2 scores. As a Boba Fett show, I gave this a 78.
Mm-hmm.
And as a mini Mandalorian season, that's just the last few episodes, I gave it an 88.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I didn't finish the Book of Boba Fett. I watched, I think, a good amount of it, but I got to the episode when they were doing like the biker gang stuff, and I'm like,
oh, it's awful.
well, so remember when I was talking about the Phantom Menace and how good I thought the pod racing was? Where'd that go? Like,
Wait, is this the same show that had Jack Black and
Lizzo.
Lizzo?
Or was that no?
that's
That was in Mando. That was
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
Okay.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. No. But yeah, they had essentially an episode where there was like a biker gang who was like causing trouble or something like that, and like Boba Fett had to like kind of step in,
Mm.
and they had like this big bike chase scene, but like they're going like 25 miles an hour the whole time, and it's just really slow, and you're just like, Star Wars kind of like sell you on like how fast these things can go with like the first prequel movie. There's like, hey, speeders and things. No, actually no, with the New Hope, you can see like Luke's speeder going super fast and things like that. I'm like, so you're telling me that a biker gang is gonna have super slow bikes? That makes no sense.
Mm.
And it looks bad. It looks bad. It looked
It's
really bad.
ugly.
Yeah, it's not good. And that's kind of where I stopped watching, because I'm like, you know what? I can do better things with my time.
You should at least watch the Mandalorian stuff in that season.
I already
Agreed.
watched the next season of Mandalorian, so
Okay.
I skipped.
Okay.
The little bit in there that is the Mandalorian stuff, because it's a full episode that basically just doesn't have Boba Fett in it.
Which is wild for his
Is
show,
it 2
right?
episodes? Is it 2 full episodes without Boba Fett?
It's at least 2 episodes. They might do like a half and half as well.
Yeah.
That's
It's
crazy.
Crazy.
But then he's in like, so he's got like 2.5 episodes dedicated almost entirely to him. It's
Yeah,
bananas.
it is.
Also, that completely ruined season 3 of The Mandalorian because it completely blew up the premise of the show.
I'm getting scared. I'm getting scared
But,
about
yeah.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that got a 77.5. Force Awakens
Oh,
is our
boy.
next movie at a 77.
They are lucky that they copied a good movie. It was a shot for shot copy of A New Hope.
Mm.
And I'm like, hey, at least The New Hope was decent, so you copied one that was good.
I think people forget about this because of where Star Wars fandom is right now.
Mhm.
But at the time, when they learned that Disney was making the Star Wars sequel trilogy, everyone's biggest fear was that it was going to be like the prequels. So
Mhm.
this was Disney going, no, this is going to be like the old ones, the
Mhm.
original trilogy.
Mhm.
And it's only after like they did this that people started going, man, at least the prequels were different than the original trilogy.
They copied.
Because I do think that it copied A New Hope.
It did fully.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. But I think, again, that it just wanted to remind people of old Star Wars. I thought it was a pretty good jumping off point for a new trilogy. I think the rest of the trilogy makes this movie retroactively worse.
Mm.
Because of all the seeds, like all the plot lines that could have been. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
But this movie on its own, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm. Mhm.
I don't disagree with you. I don't.
I like Rey a lot.
Yes,
In this
I like
movie.
Rey. I really liked Finn.
Mhm.
I liked Finn a lot.
Mhm.
And I was so excited for what they could do with his character. with where they copied A New Hope, but like they also did enough stuff where like, oh, this could go a completely different direction than just redoing Strikes Back, you know?
Yep.
They have, you know, some plot. We could have a 2 Jedi, you know, lead. We could have Rey and possibly Finn both being Jedi and leading a movie together. That could be really cool. We didn't get that.
We didn't.
Did not
We really
get that.
didn't.
No.
Now, Stu, do you think that this movie, because of that, is mid?
I think it's mid because they went the New Hope route. I feel like they had the time and resources to really do something original and not have it turn out to be as bad as the prequel trilogy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on it, Tristan?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they fumbled Finn as a character after this. Like, it was a cool intro to him. Like, the intro scene with all the stormtroopers and like the flashing lights, and you know, Finn gets like the mark on his
the blood
helmet. Like, all that was like so cool.
Yep.
And yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this might be my favorite Star Wars movie.
I mean, that's
like, as an individual movie.
That's a valid argument, though, especially as a newer fan.
Yeah,
it did a lot that I liked. Like in the beginning scene where you have Kylo like stopping the blaster bolt mid-air like that, and then doing other stuff. Like, dang, this guy is going to be like a real, like, not to pun intended, but a real force to be reckoned with. But like, and then they kind of did the thing at the end of the movie where like Rey beats him, not necessarily easily, but she pretty handily beats him. Granted, he's injured and stuff like that. Yeah. So like, but at the same time, like Finn couldn't beat him when he's that wounded. I don't know. It kind of just feels like the writing just really wanted Rey to get that win and not Finn.
But she's a Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Oh,
I just felt like that part was really weak at the end there. I'm like, I feel like Finn could have beaten him.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I don't know what message they were going for.
Does Oscar Isaac show up after this? He does, right?
Yeah, he's in there. He's in the movie.
Okay. Because him and Finn are like friends and stuff.
Yeah, he's he's like there from the beginning, essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
He gives Finn his jacket.
I can't remember the name of the character that Lupita Nyong'o plays.
Maz Kanata.
Yeah, she looks really good. Like her character design and like CGI and stuff.
Pretty fun.
That was one of the good things about like the sequel trilogies, that like they got the CGI better. Like the CGI looks really good to where like the aliens look really good. Because that was another thing with the the prequel trilogy that did not look good, is that the aliens for the most part did not look great. Specifically Dex in Attack the Clones, he looked really rough.
Got a little mustache.
Yeah, a little gross little mustache. It was really bad, and his whole ass crack hanging out. Okay, we can't go into this.
Yeah, Next up, Solo. It's boring and who cares?
Didn't watch it.
Donald Glover's in it.
Yeah, and he's doing a bad Billy D. Williams impression. Sorry, Donald Glover. Love you. I didn't like it.
Ouch.
Yeah. Anyway.
Like, I thought I would when I heard that he was playing that character. I was like, oh, that's perfect. And then I saw it and I was like, oh, this is feeling a little bad. I don't like the direction this is going. All right. So,
all right.
Andor. You guys haven't seen it?
I watched the first couple episodes.
The internet loves this. They say that it's the best Star Wars. I watched most of season 1. It moves really slow. I don't love it. I gave it an 80 because I'm like, maybe it gets better after this because I intend to finish it, but I haven't yet. New season's out. Maybe that'll be enough to get me to watch it. We'll see.
Fair enough.
So I haven't seen this next one. And I think it's the only one where you guys gave it the exact same score. This is Family Guy Star Wars.
That was a really good. So there were 3 movies. I just lumped them all together. It's just really funny. It's just really funny.
If you've seen Star Wars, it's funny.
Yeah, it's just really good. They poke at the plot holes and the stuff in the original trilogy that everyone knew, but they were like, we're gonna put it out there for everybody now.
Mhm.
And they did a lot of original stuff, and I just thought it was really good. It was probably like peak Family Guy, honestly.
Oh, by the way, if the way that I did it is if one of us hasn't seen it, we just put our score as NA. So then instead of being divided by 3, it's divided by 2. So just the 2 scores added together, whatever that is. And if 2 of us haven't seen it, then it's just the score that's there. So
yeah,
let that be known and let it be understood that heavily affected this list. And that's partly why this list is broken. And I'm sorry, but we're doing what we're doing.
I'm not sorry.
So after that, at an 84, we have A New Hope.
Solid movie.
Yep.
It's okay.
The OGs.
Solid movie. Revolutionary for filmmaking.
Yep.
Solid.
Wonderful effects. When they haven't been touched by George Lucas many years later.
Did Luke and Leia, did they kiss in this one?
They do.
I thought they kissed in Strikes Back.
They kissed twice.
Twice. Yuck. Okay, that's all.
Is it really? Never mind.
It is.
Yeah, Stu, you go ahead and ask this question, please.
I'm just asking, is it really yuck if you don't know they're your sister? Like, obviously, retrospectively, yuck. But, like, in the moment.
I mean, it's still gross, though.
From an outside perspective. But, like, if they never found out that they were brother and sister, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
okay.
It's weird.
We know.
So what if they
know it is yuck?
Yeah.
What if they had a kid and they were like, what if they were like, what's wrong with him? And they were like, well,
I'd be looking at Ghost Obi-Wan like, hey, what's up? Why didn't you tell him? Also, Ghost Obi-Wan just like letting that go. That's also yuck. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
No, definitely in like retrospect, it's definitely like a yuck. Like they definitely underreacted to the information that they are siblings.
Oh,
that's
100%.
Sure.
100%.
Definitely underreacted to that.
All right. So next up, we have The Mandalorian at an 85.
Good show.
If we're going based off seasons 1 and 2, I think it's a good show.
Yeah.
If we're going including season 3, I can't say it's a good show.
Really?
It feels like a CW show. I think it's really bad.
Wow. Wait. Hold on. So like seasons 1 and 2 is good. Season 3 is bad. So would you even say it's fine as a series?
I would say it's fine. Yeah. I gave it an 82. So it's like a B minus.
So that's pretty solid, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
It went from like
really good
A minus B plus range down to B minus.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I mean.
It's pretty common for some shows to have a rough season. So I have hope that it will get better.
They're making a movie to end the story now.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Fingers crossed.
I'm excited.
Man.
Yeah.
I hope that it can redeem itself. And I do have some sympathy for them because Book of Boba Fett took the story of what the season should have been. And they just kind of had to twiddle their thumbs for 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Because this whole season should have been like, he's going off trying to do his stuff. Baby Yoda's off doing his stuff and growing with Luke Skywalker. And then they get back together and then go on an adventure at the end of the season. That should have been the story.
Yeah.
If you're only watching The Mandalorian and you haven't watched Book of Boba Fett, they say goodbye at the end of season 2, and it starts with them just being a duo again. It doesn't make any sense. But they just didn't have a lot to do. And they clearly didn't have the budget for it. Like, you can tell there was some budget cuts. Man, it's ugly.
Do you remember the feeling you had when you first saw Grogu?
I did the Kevin McAllister like.
I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd see one of those.
Wow.
My eyebrow shot up. I tilted my head.
And then everyone on the internet was like, I will die for him right now.
Give me the Baby Yoda Starbucks Frappuccino immediately.
Also, I know there's some nerd that's going to yell at me in the comments for calling him Baby Yoda. It's a better name than Grogu. Grogu's a bad name.
Grogu is like the new alien they introduced on American Dad. I don't know if y'all are getting those shorts on YouTube or not, but I'm getting American Dad shorts on YouTube, and they have this little alien dude who's like Roger the alien's son or something, and his name is like Rogu. And he's like this, yeah, like the pasta sauce, and he's like this ugly little thing, and I'm like, is that Grogu? Are they saying Grogu or I don't know. It's bad. It's a bad name. He's Baby Yoda forever.
Yeah, Stitch is a better name.
Like, you've picked a name that sounds like gross and goo.
Yeah.
Grogu? Ugh. Bad
He's gonna be
choice.
so mad when he's like able to talk and things like that. Where he's like, I can't believe y'all named me this ridiculous thing.
Did Jon Favreau direct season 3?
He's involved. I don't know if he actually directed anything.
Okay.
He was really good in Chef.
He's great. Yeah.
He's great in a lot of things.
Yeah.
I love him in Friends.
Yeah. He makes good movies.
Mhm.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
I had something else I wanted to say about Grogu. This is going to piss off some nerd. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Please.
I am kind of convinced that he is Baby Yoda. There's going to be some time travel stuff at some point in the future. Grogu's going to get sent back to the past, and he's just going to become Yoda.
Still.
If it means I get to see him as a puppet, like a really ugly puppet, I will allow it. If I get an ugly Phantom Menace level puppet of Grogu, I will allow it.
Wait, do we ever get to see what he saw from? It was like that
Order 66.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did we get to see what he saw?
Yes. So it was very cool because the original actor for Jar Jar Binks was a Jedi who saved Grogu. It was a very redeeming moment for him as an actor because he almost killed himself from all the hate he got as being Jar Jar Binks. So he got to be a cool Jedi with 2 lightsabers, and he even has a Lego set that you can buy at Walmart for like $35.
And if you don't recognize him as the actor that played Jar Jar, you go, that's a guy.
That's a black man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right.
It's Mace Windu's cousin.
Oh my God, it's Mace Windu's brother.
Oh.
So Mandalorian has an 85.6. At 86, we have Return of the Jedi.
That Luke's drip really holds the movie together. I think that black suit he's got and the green lightsaber goes so hard. It's so crispy. I love it.
I like this movie. This is definitely my favorite Luke movie because I haven't actually gotten into this. And this is one of my big sticking points with Star Wars as a whole. I hate original trilogy Luke Skywalker. He's so whiny and I want to punch him most of the time, particularly like in Empire. He has this bit where he like collapses on the like swamp floor after Yoda. Yeah, he's just like, it's impossible. And he's just like, yeah. He just like gives up when Yoda's like, you could do better, actually. You could do more. Watch this.
He does it, yeah.
You didn't even know telekinesis was an option at the start of this movie.
I can't give George Lucas any credit for anything he's ever done in his entire life. However, I go in with the thought that he is supposed to be kind of insufferable and bratty because, I mean, he was like a farmer's boy on Tatooine up until like a day ago. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, yeah, he's going to be an insufferable brat because he was just whining about him not being able to go to like the party with his friends and things like that. Like, he was being bratty. That ain't going to change over the course of one movie. It probably should have changed midway through Strikes Back, but getting your hand chopped off by your father really sucks. And that can really change you. So by the time the Return of the Jedi comes around, him being like very serious and like really cool, I feel like that's like good character progression for him. Where I think he was supposed to be. Though. That's the thing about Star Wars, that a lot of things happen off screen.
And that's annoying.
Yeah.
But again, that's the only movie that I actually like him in. But hoo boy, that movie really dips in the pacing with the Ewok. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that part is
goes,
like,
oh man,
stop and pacing.
We are grinding, and then it picks up again.
I will say though, I think that having that time skip between movies can help a lot, where you don't have to like show that, because that's kind of one of the things that like the sequel trilogy suffered, was that like every movie took place right after the other essentially. And so there was no time for things to change between them to where it made sense for these big things to happen, you know.
Sure.
That's a big difference that I think is can play a factor. But yeah, I think Luke's all dripped out and cool, and I like the movie.
I just think he should have been cool at the start of Empire. He's a soldier. He's been a soldier for a while. He's seen some stuff.
But he's been making out with the princess, so he's gonna be kind of schmarmy, you know.
He can be schmarmy. I just don't want him to be as whiny. That's all I'm asking. And he's so whiny.
He is very whiny. But hey, you know, it all comes together in the end. At least he's not whiny at like all the way through Return of the Jedi, where you're like, come on, man, you had 3 movies in like several years to get over this.
I would never watch those movies again.
No. But I think that's why he's a good protagonist by the end of the series. He's like, okay, cool. He grew up, thank God, because he was whiny.
So this basically ties right in. At an 88.6, we have Empire Strikes Back.
Boom.
Pretty good.
I mean, other than the whininess part, I mean, it's hard to fault that movie for anything. It is solid from tip to toe.
Some really interesting ideas. It's Empire Strikes Back. You know it. It's pretty good.
We're not going to be contrarians and be like, that movie is actually the worst one ever.
Actually,
the rest of the internet, since it came out, has been wrong. We're not those guys, unfortunately.
We're not those guys. But I will say there are 3 things that we have ranked over Empire.
Do we rank Rebels?
We did not include Rebels.
We did not include Rebels. Okay. That's fine, though.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's fine. I give like a 80.
The 2004 Clone Wars came in at 89.5.
Damn.
After that, it's the other Clone Wars with a 90.
Damn.
And I didn't know that this was going to be the highest scoring thing. I would have assumed that you guys would have seen this and would have had some opinion.
Rogue One?
Did I not put Rogue One on here?
I saw Rogue One.
We don't.
No, we skipped over Rogue One.
Yeah. So Rogue One had an 86.6.
Okay. That would have put it between.
It would have come right between Return of the Jedi and Empire.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really had to throw this together in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Tristan.
Again, for this one, this is our last thing. And it has the score of 100, which is the official score of our podcast.
Boom.
And
this is only because you're the only one who voted on this one.
Yeah, and I didn't know that ahead of time. It's the Star Wars Holiday Special.
You gave that 100 just to be funny.
I love it.
Because you think it's funny to like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Because you know damn well if either of us had actually ranked that, we would have given it 4s. It would have been it would have been ranked the same as Rise of Skywalker, if not worse.
And that's what I was counting on. I thought it was going to balance itself out. But you guys hadn't seen it, so you put NA. So my score is the only one that counted for it. And now it's our highest rated Star Wars thing. And that's the official stance of this show. And this list will not be revised in the future. So
nobody watched Ahsoka.
None of us watched Ahsoka. And there's a couple other things I think that none of us had seen.
Oh my God. I was going to make the argument that there's nowhere to watch the holiday special, but someone ripped it and put it on YouTube, which I should have known. So I guess I'm watching that this week at some point.
Maybe around Christmas time we can put up a commentary for it.
Oh, we could do a Mystery Science Theater kind of thing. Yeah,
I think that'd be a lot of fun. That's it. That's our list.
I hate it here.
Everyone does.
I hate this list. It's mostly a bad list.
I think every Star Wars fan is going to find something to yell at us about. So please comment below. Tristan, is there anything you want to plug?
I take some pretty cool pictures. You guys can see them on Instagram at TajVue, TAJVUE.
Stu, is there anything that you would like to plug?
You can find me on YouTube at Punk House, where I'm featured on a lot of videos, a lot of funny gaming bits in there with me in it. So
Hooray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
If there's anything that I can recommend to you, the listener, it is to not get sick. I've been trying to get over being sick for a while, and my voice has changed over the course of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
why.
think you dropped a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
Um,
peaking and dropping. It's all over the place.
It's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. You can find me at most platforms at Tomahawk Presents. What?
On YouTube, you can watch the holiday special in 5K 60 FPS upscale.
Wow.
I
I'm
can't wait.
really curious to see
I
that.
can't wait. The thumbnail is scary.
I'm really surprised neither of you have actually seen the Star Wars holiday special.
Well, now I have to.
It is one of the. Do not watch this on your own. This is something that can only be viewed in a group.
I clicked on the link and it's already bad. I just wanted to pause it.
This is one of the worst things that's ever been made,
It's already
but I
bad.
love it.
Good Lord.
I just posted in Discord for y'all to look at the thumbnail. It's so bad. That's not Mark Hamill.
That is unfortunately. So
What?
if you were, yeah,
What is that?
That's a homunculus taking on the form of Mark Hamill.
so at the time, Mark Hamill had recently been in a car wreck, and the makeup artists did their best.
I feel bad now. No, I don't. No, I don't. They could have done better.
But yeah, please, guys, we need to set aside a time for us to actually sit and watch this.
Good Lord.
I can't wait.
It's maddening.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Also, are you guys familiar with the Star Wars holiday special or?
A little bit.
I know a lot of not necessarily the background elements of it, but it's a mess.
It's a mess, and it has
can't wait.
everybody in it, and I love that.
Yeah.
That is
Also,
cool.
Earlier when I said that Yoda slamming those guys against the wall is one of my favorite things in Star Wars, I said it's my favorite thing. The only thing that comes close, and it might be this, there is a moment where you see Harrison Ford's hatred of Star Wars come into fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is singing a song to the tune of the Star Wars theme, and you see it in his eyes where he's just like, this is bad.
I can't wait.
I'm going to carry this rage with me for the rest of my life. And I love that that's captured on film.
Wow.
All right. Well, I would like to either do a sit down with us watching it. I think I would really love to do a Mystery Science Theater where we rent out an auditorium at a theater, put a camera behind us, and it's just our silhouettes up against the movie.
That'd be cool.
I think that'd be so much fun.
That would be cool.
I'm not renting out an auditorium. We can do something to get the effect though.
We could do it. We could do this summer. Remember when we worked at the movie theater and they would do the kid shows in the mornings?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we could do that. We just show up to one of those. It's like, oh, sorry, this theater is actually for the holiday special of Star Wars. Are there any managers that we know still I think there are?
Yeah.
If anyone who actually liked us is still there, I'm sure they would let us rent out a theater at least for cheap, if not just let us have one during one of their off hours.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We'll have to reach out to our connections.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's getting late.
Anyway, it is.
Hey, big guy, sun's going down.
Thank you so much for getting to the end of this.
Mm.
We really appreciate it. If you have any notes for how we can improve the show, we'd be welcome to hear it. We want this to be a good, fun thing for you to listen to. As much fun as it is for us to sit here and chat about the things.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a topic you'd like for us to cover, I know that we're planning on discussing, we're going to do rankings for the Fox Marvel movies, and we're going to cover the DC movies since the year 2000, I think is what I said. And we'll see how those turn out. And then after that, we'll probably doing, news of the week type of stuff. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye.
Wakanda forever.
Power down.
Oh, yeah.
Wakanda forever.